Yeah, so I mean, it sounds like to recap in non-marketing, stupid people speak like me.
Funnels exist in the world of all of your marketing efforts, likely starting with your social media. So I think we've shown up today to chat about some funnels. The funnels of the marketing worlds. It's an interesting conversation because the word funnel has evolved so drastically over the years. And it's like it's gone from one of those things that I feel like if you're a business owner at all, you absolutely must have a funnel or your business is going to massively fail. You're supposed to use the microphone near your face, not near your chips. Is that a Pop-Tart?
It's a lemon swirl bread.
Fucking guy.
I need carbs.
So
brought to you by lemon strudels or whatever the fuck this is called. Anyways, I didn't know that would come through. So
it's gotta. It's evolved from you're not going to succeed if you don't have a funnel to now like, oh, you don't even need a funnel. Who gives a shit? Like it doesn't matter. And funnel has been, I mean, it's evolved, like I said, but it's become such a polarizing thing of like you do, you don't. And I think there's multiple applications here. So we're going to break that down today. I'm going to lead into this with you don't need a funnel to be successful in the traditional sense, right? That's the pause here. And what I mean by funnel specifically in this use case is the actual landing page builder that puts together this sequences of pages that gets somebody to take certain actions. But on the other hand, your entire marketing attention ecosystem is in fact a funnel. And the top of your funnel is probably your Instagram or Facebook profile, your TikTok profile, your LinkedIn profile, something along those lines is probably where most people find you first. And that's the top of your funnel. It is not built within a funnel builder. It is not built in this specific software. And just, I'm going to throw it out there. I'm a fan of ClickFunnels. That's my go-to, but it's because their editor is easy. Like it just, their whole job is to help you sell shit online. But the whole goal is make life easy. So funnels used to be a big thing, direct response marketing. There's a bunch to it. Funnels from, again, traditional landing page builder can definitely be a part of it. You don't need it to be successful, but overarching funnels exist in the world of all of your marketing efforts, likely starting with your social media. If you're in person, you're an in-person trainer or coach, then that funnel is probably going to be some form of interaction that you get to have at certain events. Maybe the gym that you work out or some version thereof is how they first get put into your world. So for our use case in the conversation piece, we have landing page funnels, a piece of the overarching attention and marketing funnel that you likely have that's going on. So Andrew, since you're an expert in funnels, actually Andrew this morning taught himself, which, you know, you are dangerous now because you know how to actually have an image with no background to it. You ever try to build a landing page and then you download the image and the image has all that white around it? Yeah, Andrew solved that problem today. Like just epic.
If you're not a graphic design person, comment me on this video and I will send you a step-by-step tutorial on how to do that.
How many PMIDs did you go through to figure this out?
No, this is one where if you do that, you're well, actually, let me take that back. A lot. Because it all comes down to the marketing perspective. But, you know, I think that when people think funnels and, again, exactly what Steve says, in the classic sense, you think about traditional funnel, like it's designed to take things from a big surface area to a smaller surface area. And you think about You funnel thoughts down into a decision, like all your options. And when you take the same concept, you're doing this as a coach, you're doing this literally day to day, but we're not talking about in the business system sense of a funnel. We're more talking about the tactical execution of taking someone through a journey in a visual sense, such as a landing page, such as not a website, which I get to play the dumb one today. So I'm going to ask Steve all type of stupid fucking questions and I'm going to add there be obnoxious too. So you better strap in because there's be a strap. Nope. Not going to say that. But anyways, but yeah, so I learned how to use Canva. And by the way, if you're not familiar and if you've never built a landing page, there are things called assets. And people don't explain to you the process of creating an asset is multifaceted. You need to be familiar with potentially Adobe Illustrator. If you're slow to the party like me, maybe use Canva instead.
Use Canva.
You can use Canva, right? Whatever you're used to, but you got to take the thing and make it look okay. And then you got to take the thing that you made look okay and you got to put it in the page. And then you got to resize it. And then you got to toggle back and forth a couple times because, like Steve said, sometimes it has a white background on it. And you got to figure out how to make that shit transparent because transparently is a pain in the ass. So there's a reason why people pay people to do these. And I now understand, right? I've built a couple landing pages. I think this is like number 3 or 4 for me. After having built one for workshops, guys, when you're staring at a white blank page, you got no pictures on there. You have no idea what goes where. You got to make that shit up. So anyways, but that's what I have to say about that. So let's maybe let's go big picture. Why, what's the difference between a website and a landing page? For people that are wondering.
I always appreciate this conversation with Andrew. So a landing page and a website fundamentally, functionally, visually is the same exact thing with one subtle difference. A landing page is a singular page that accomplishes an outcome, get somebody's contact information, make them buy a thing, whatever it is, where a website is going to be a mishmash of different pages. So home page, blog page, about me page, about my services page, schedule page, like all these different things that tends to have drop downs or a navigation bar, and the journey or the user can self-select the journey and go to whatever pages they desire. Functionally, when you have somebody who is curious, they go to the website and they get to figure out all the answers to the questions that they can solve by way of your website. The negative there is you're not in control of their journey. You're not making sure they go through specific actions. A landing page, you're in control. There's literally one path that they can go down. Negative there is if it is an inquisitive person that has questions or wants to find out information that you perhaps didn't answer on that page, guess what? They're not going to find it and they're going to likely leave. So a bigger, larger business, probably not our typical listener, is going to likely have both of these things: a website with multiple pages and sub pages and all these components, and just landing pages. When we talk about it in the form of a funnel is a series of landing pages that get you to take repeated steps in a specific direction, i.e. give me your information. Cool. Hey, do you want this free $5 thing? Absolutely. Oh, hey, do you want this free $10 thing? 100%. Oh, do you want this free $500 thing? Oh, I'm good there. Okay, thank you for your purchase. We'll send you your info. And that would be the funnel per se. Again, controlling the journey.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, so I mean, it sounds like to recap in non-marketing, stupid people speak like me. Effectively, it's like a landing page is, or a funnel is multiple pages, web pages, just put in sequence so that way people can scroll through the way that you would ideally like them to have from a contextual perspective, instead of them just kind of navigating randomly like, oh, well, let me learn about these people. Oh, well, what do they do as a service? Or, oh, what are they? So more or less a running series of web pages.
Landing pages, yes.
In a very loose sense. Landing pages, there you go. Okay, so there you go, folks. That's it for funnels.
Done.
That's all you need to do.
Done. But
Well, and it's funny because I joke about that, but it sounds like, and having gone through like one of Russell Brunson's courses, like he had like the 3-day thing. I didn't really pay attention much, but he did mention that there's like a general structure for how you want to orient these things. Maybe you can touch on, now that we've talked about the use case, the difference between web pages and websites and funnels. What's a general format and structure for someone in the coaching space?
emotion, logic, scarcity.
Is there one?
Up top,
Okay.
below, so it's kind of below the fold is a marketing term, which is effectively whatever shows up on your screen without having to scroll above the fold. Below the fold is that line that would be on the bottom of your phone or the bottom of your screen. That entire image area, that entire whatever words, big call to action, is going to be 100% emotional. Most people who come to a place, they're going to be like, oh, cool, I resonate with that. Let me click the button and do the thing, right? Unless they're starting to ask for money. But in our world, again, you're giving away very inexpensive, if not free things, generally in exchange for time or contact information. So emotion is really the big thing out of the gates. How do we elicit that emotion that's going to make them just go click that button? We can assume if we did a good job emotionally trying to elicit that response, that person now, if they've scrolled down, they've swiped, they've gone below the fold, they're now looking to solve some answers that they have, some questions that they have. They're looking to better understand things. This is where we start to transition from emotion to logic. It is not a hard line, but it is a transition throughout. The best way to describe it is if you have a larger scroll, the longer you scroll, the more logical you should get. If you have a shorter scroll, the more quickly you have to get there. But the whole idea is we can assume emotion didn't work. So now we need to answer some questions for them. Why us? What we do? Other raving fans, social proof, things like that should start to happen throughout the page. And then at the very bottom, if you've gone at them emotionally and you've answered all the questions that you believe that they could have, and they're all the way to the bottom of the page, we now want to deploy kind of some type of fear scarcity tactic where, oh, if you don't do this, this bad thing might happen. Oh, it's going to run out in a certain amount of time or a certain amount of users or whatever the case may be, where the last thing we can really tug on is you should do this or else. Right. So if it's a free guide, obviously it's hard to grab that. So it's like, you've gone to pages where you'll never see this page again. You can't get directly to this page. There's a lot of ways to deploy that where it's like, oh, well, what if I can't find it? And what if I do want that thing? Let me just give them my email address. No big deal. But that would be a very loose general flow. Again, the best thing you can do is go click on people's ads. If people are running any type of advertising, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and you click on their links and you go to their pages, you'll start to notice a loose flow, some better than others. Emotion, answer those questions, get into logic, and then that scarcity of why you should just take action now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that really mimics a lot of the way our brains are structured in terms of we tend to notice the emotions on a very primal, almost subconscious level sometimes. And if you do it well, you can elicit and evoke like a very conscious emotional response to which now people will justify the emotion with logic. And then at the end of the day, you're trying to create some urgency in there so that way they take action. Much the same way that if you watch a movie, it's nice, you're left with a feeling, but you don't necessarily take an action to do whatever it is that movie didn't necessarily ask you to do. Right. So as far as like we just talked about the general formatting, what are some things that people should keep in mind as they start to put something like this together?
So when we talk about the specific tactical landing page funnel, we want to understand where at in the journey somebody is to the best that we can. Listen, if it's your first funnel and you don't have any other funnels, this is probably not as relevant to you as now if you're layering in maybe a third or fourth step. But if they've come to you and kind of like I started this off with, the marketing funnel as a whole probably starts with a social media profile, whatever made them click. So there's a whole idea of priming your profile. So get it. What is your one liner? Who you help? What do they do? Click this link type stuff. If whatever your call to action was, click this link to get whatever result and they click the link, they're probably very interested in getting that result and they just want to get there more quickly. So you could be way better off where that link goes to something that's a little bit shorter, very specifically, like your initial emotional thing was actually in your profile. Now you need to give them a little bit of logic and scarcity if they do scroll past that, button to go for it. Whereas if you're doing some paid marketing and they see some type of ad and they click it, well, hey, you need to lead with that page on some emotion. So think through the journey that you're sending somebody through, would really be the biggest thing. If somebody's on social media and they're just clicking this thing, you should probably go shorter because they probably don't want to scroll and read a really long sales page and all of these components. Whereas if they're, again, clicking an email that's eliciting some type of response and says, oh, click here to get more information, that page is probably going to be a little bit longer. So you just want to think about that journey. If you are going through that funnel, through that marketing journey, profile to landing page funnel, email to landing page funnel, paid advertising to landing page funnel, a direct message to somebody on social media to a funnel, those are all slightly different journeys. If you send all 4 of those paths to the same exact funnel, you're probably going to have certain paths that it just doesn't make sense. So think about where you're layering in those steps in that journey through the communication. And that's how you start to know, all right, longer funnel, go through all those phases. Shorter funnel, direct to logic, get them to take action. Hey, I already explained all the things they're getting. They just have to give me their email address. Literally put that there. Like, it doesn't have to be overthought. It has to fit the journey you're moving somebody through.
Yeah, so it sounds like, and so for those of you that aren't subscribed, make sure you smash that subscribe button right now, because we have a series of things that we know that coaches generally ask a lot of questions on. And you hear Steve mentioning that there's this thing called a landing page, which, like, well, if you're like me, you're going to have to hear that shit 8 times. But then there's also the idea of, he mentions like an automation, because we think that if you have this central thing that is the landing page and or the funnel, how do you get people to that thing, which you mentioned and this is where, his genius kind of comes through, but neglects to maybe elicit and elucidate like what those specific step-by-step things are. How do we get people to the landing page? And that's something where you might have links somewhere, maybe use some automations like, Zapier is a pretty good automation kind of hub. But there's a lot of different things that you can do that take a lot of the manual effort out of it. So that's why you want to make sure you subscribe so you can stay ahead, and you're alerted whenever, and turn those alarms on too, because the next couple episodes are going to be really helpful from like how to actually make this useful. But Steve, you mentioned landing pages. You mentioned getting people there. Like, if we just focus on the landing pages for right now, or the funnel, so to speak, like, what are some elements in there that, earlier I mentioned the assets. What are some things that people might want to have on hand as they're starting to assemble something like their own?
Your basic funnel, assume mid to longer length, not a quick, like, let me just get their info type situation. Is you're going to start off and, you mentioned assets, and you need who you are. So some pictures of yourself. Typically at the top of the page, there's what's traditionally called the hero image. It's just a placement and whatnot, and it's going to be somewhere up there with a giant call to action, a giant headline, a sub headline of, click the button below to lose the most weight the easiest in your life, and then the sub headline, my simple 5-step program will get you cut lean in the dream body without having to sacrifice all the food you love, whatever the thing might be. And it's you with a plate of food while making a muscle, looking like just, freaking amazing. And that would literally be the top part where it's like, oh my God, I want to look, I want that thing without giving up. It's only 5 steps, hit that button and I'm good to go. Now, if people start scrolling down below it, well, they have questions. So what are some of the questions? They might want to know who you are. So you're going to need to have some form of bio type situation, right? Maybe a picture about yourself, a before and after of you and your journey, or that's something just to make you more relatable. More information about your process and or the problem that you're solving. So what does it look like? and again, and we've talked about this on prior episodes, it's not going down the we do check-ins 1 day a week and you work out 3 days a week. It's actually
Please don't.
talking through your unique 5 stages in this example, not the how, but just kind of the what you do, right? We reset your metabolism, step 1. We get you moving and active in a, you know, in an effective way for your lifestyle. We make meal prepping really easy by doing it in under 5 minutes a week, whatever your 5 steps might be. The next thing is, okay, cool. I get it. I know who you are, but have you helped people? So, or your process, but now have you helped people? So social proof tends to be a next good one. Some images before and afters, some quotes that people have maybe given you on reviews. Those are going to be great things to go ahead and put into there and weaving that into the story. Coming back now to kind of reiterating your process, right? So, Miss Mary Lou went through my 5-step process and she really loves step number 3. And here's her talking about it. Mr. James Robert, he did this thing. And step number 5 was the thing that changed his life. You can see here. And it's like, it starts to tie down the success stories to your process, what you've done, et cetera, et cetera. And somewhere in there, you need to now kind of move and transition through who I am, what I do, what my process is, who I've helped, to now giving somebody something in exchange for their contact information. I would say is your real first step. If somebody gets there, how do you get their email? How can you email them and continue to deliver more value? If your only goal is to sell something, I still think you should try to capture information and worry about trying to contact them and follow up. You can put some automations in place with other platforms or maybe the same platform that like, oh, I got your email, but you didn't buy the thing. Let me help you. Let me give you more info. Let me do this. Here's your discount. Here's your offer. Here's your offer stack, bonus stack, whatever it is. But as we go through that page, you want to make sure you hit those key points, give some value, make sure they understand who you are, what you do, what your process is. And again, it all comes down to, can you solve the problem for them? So also, as we think about this emotion to logic to scarcity, we, again, in prior episodes have talked about that kind of awareness continuum. If somebody shows up, you need to also pull them through this thing that's like, oh, I am most aware. Andrew's that person that can solve the problem for me with his unique 5-step system. And the reason I failed before was all these things. Like, if you can put all that together, which it's a lot, and if you're like, oh, I have no idea what's going on right now, that's normal. But if you can put all those things together and you pull somebody through this journey in their brain really quickly in that page, however long it is, that's where you now get people to just be like, yes, I need this thing. And think about something that you didn't need to buy. We've all done it. You're scrolling Instagram, whatever, an ad pops up, and 3 minutes later, you bought 3 of them. Just like, whoa, what just happened? And then you get it and you're like, all right, yeah, like cool. But man, that page was just like, it pulled on you, and it was going to do the thing so good that you needed to have it. So you bought 3.
Yeah. Thanks, Temu. We'll take a portion of that. And so if you were to summarize that into like the top 3 things that people would need as it relates to having some things ready to build an actual landing page and or funnel, what would you say those would be? We understand the process. Oh, and by the way, guys, if you don't know what he's talking about as he's referring to the problem awareness continuum, it's in a previous episode of ours. It's really essential that you go and watch that. Otherwise, some of the things that we talk about when we say taking people through a journey, it really isn't going to make as much sense. So make sure you go check that stuff out. And there's also another one with Mike Milner, another guest. So there's 2 actually episodes that would really be helpful for you to go watch.
Yeah, I think top 3 things is what is the actual like offer headline? Like, what is the big overarching problem you're solving? Just make sure you understand that. Who you are and the people you've helped, like everything, and how your journey has correlated to helping those people. I'm going to put those, 2A and 2B into a singular bucket, so to speak. And then your process ultimately in correlating those things, right? And they all rely heavily on each other of what is the offer, what is that call to action, what is that big headline, how does that relate to the thing that you've done, and how how do you and your people that you've helped solve that problem, kind of all that gap kind of being bridged all around, no matter where somebody's coming in on that angle of who are you, what do you do, who are your people, what are their success, what is your process, how does it help. Those angles now are going to be kind of taken, and those would be the three big things that you really want to focus on when you're going to go build that page.
Got it. So just getting really crystal clear on your problem, the people that you've helped, and the process, and being able to basically kind of pull on those emotional strings and logic, and then add some urgency at the end. And if people do that, it sounds like they will have at least a basic experience for people that will help the potential consumer understand what they do and if they're a good fit.
Your first landing page should be those three things with a spot for somebody to give you their email address. Like, don't over engineer this.
Okay.
Don't worry about selling. Like, get their information, and most likely you're going to give them some type of freebie on the back end, whatever it is. Send it to them via email. Like, don't over engineer the tech and make it more difficult. Just, oh, somebody came in and submitted here. Let me automatically send this email to them with the thing they wanted. Period. End of story. You're good to go. Don't worry about doing more.
Yeah. And if you have no idea how to like automate some of that stuff, make sure you smash that subscribe button, because in the next episode, we're going to talk about workflows and automations. But as far as landing pages go, like, there you go. That's super basic. Really, you can make it very complex. They have stuff like heat maps where people are spending time on your page. Obviously, the first thing is to understand the basics, get out there, get your hands dirty, and then start layering in one complex thing at a time. And that's really going to take you pretty far versus getting paralyzed and thinking you have to have the perfect experience. And, you have to convert 98% of people, which I still don't really understand what conversion is. So we're going to get into that in the future. But this is your basic intro to funnels. We hope that was helpful for you on this episode of Beyond the Pump, where we talk about the business of fitness and nutrition coaching. And we will see you in the next episode.